don't you think the average person would just by you reading that? Because of the verbiage. Curse with a curse. Bring you all the tithe to the storehouse. What is that telling people in their subconscious? If I don't want to be cursed, I have to bring my tithe. Whether if that's not your intention, that's how people are receiving it.
So it's no different than we just saying, so use the scripture, the workman is worthy of his hire. What's the difference?
There's a big difference.
There's no big difference. If I don't pay you, you don't work.
But
basically,
again, there's a difference because that's not in the same content of tithes and offering, because we have the understanding, speaking people in this room, what were the tithes for? So if you read it, let's say the upcoming week for tithes and offering, knowing that tithes talking about, then it's totally, there's no more such thing as tithe. You have to ask yourself, or anybody would ask, like, if we know what tithes are, why is the scripture still being read? When we can read 2 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, where it says, give as is purposed in your heart, for God loveth a cheerful giver. That has a total different connotation than you're cursed with the curse, for you have robbed me this whole nation. But if you...
Hold on. That's scripture. Hold on. Let me finish shooting it off. Let me get this straight.
No, I mean, I'm done. Like, if you tell somebody, give as is purpose in your heart, they don't feel like they're guilty. If you say you're cursed with the curse, bring ye all the tithes to the storehouse, that's a commandment. The commandment for us is to give as is purposed in our heart. If you purpose $1, you give $1. That's the law we're under. Tithing was never money to begin with, so there's no reason why tithing should be read during offering anyway if it wasn't never money.
All right, now, so you're saying what should be read is 2 Corinthians 9, 6, and 7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap sparingly. Okay, now, if you don't do this, you're cursed. So if I sow sparingly, if I say, well, I get 25, I'm only going to give 50 cents. It doesn't say, this part right here doesn't say it about your heart yet. This is the first verse, verse 6. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. So if I want to give 50 cents, I'm going to reap 35 cents.
No, whatever you sow, if you sow sparingly, if you sow a little, you're going to get, you sow what you reap.
That's just like saying you're going to get what you give.
That's totally different than the Malachi.
What's so different?
Because first,
if I rob God and say, you know what, in the modern day time, we talking modern day time.
So you can't factor in tithes then, because tithes is not a modern day institution
then we can't
under
factor
Christ.
This in as giving monetary.
That is.
It doesn't say.
So what are you going to give then?
I give my time. Like right now, I'm tired. Didn't even feel like coming here, but I drove from Westchester and came here.
Okay.
I didn't come here grudgingly. Like, you know what, man? I am tired, Lord. I can rather drive home, take a nice shower, and chill, and still drive from Westchester to 55th and Locust, and then gonna leave 55th and Locust, even more tired, and then drive to Delaware. It doesn't say what to give. It said, but this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap. It don't say what.
Okay.
It don't say
well,
what.
listen,
now.
if
Hold
you
on,
finish reading, it tells you what he's talking about.
He which soweth bountifully shall reap bountifully. That's verse 6.
I know.
Verse 6. Now verse 7. Every man according to as he purposed in his heart. I purpose in my heart when I was time for me to leave work. My purpose was I am going to Bible study regardless how this body feel.
He's not talking about Tom. If you, again, you have he's not talking about time. He's not here. No, yes. If you read verses,
I'm getting verse 7, one verse at a time.
I understand, but you're trying to build the foundation that he's not talking about money. He could be talking about anything.
He could be talking about anything.
But let's cut to the chase and see what he's talking about.
See, Malachi dies at curse. It dies at curse.
What do you mean it dies at curse?
The book of Malachi dies at curse. That's the last word in Malachi. So it continues on from there. But we're talking now. We said Corinthians chapter 9, 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 and verse 7. So let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. Period.
Keep reading.
Keep reading for what? Oh, read. So now you're saying read the whole chapter.
But how do you
God is able to make all grace abound towards you.
Okay.
And ye always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound.
Keep
to
reading
every good
till
work.
you get to the 11th verse. He always tells you.
Being rich in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us
Read verse 10. Read verse 10.
Now he that ministered to
That's
seed
what he's talking about.
to the
Seed
sower.
to the sower. Both minister
I'm
bread
sowing
for
seed.
your
I'm
food.
sowing seed.
Physical seed, not your
It
time
doesn't say
seed. It
physical
does.
seed.
What is the
Okay,
seed of your
see.
food? Bread for your food. What is that? Can you?
Bread. This is the bread of life.
He's
I'm
not talking
coming.
about bread.
See, that's the whole thing.
You're taking something out of content. Go ahead.
Can I just throw this in here just right quick?
Go ahead.
Right quick.
Go ahead, Evangelist.
And I'm just going to do this just real quick. Okay, the temple in the Old Testament, right?
Yes.
That was always a central place characterized that it was God's presence.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm doing is taking the old to build upon the new.
Right.
Okay? And that was the presence where the presence of God was found.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The temple in the Old Testament, we know that it possessed the symbols of redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was where the man of God served. Okay.
Right.
All right. That's Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're moving forward to New Testament. What is the local church?
Right.
I'm just
I
throwing this.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Okay, so bring ye all your tithes into the storehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever God has purposed in your heart. We know that in the Old Testament, hear me out, follow me through, storehouse giving at that time was the tenth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, if I'm bringing in what is purposed in my heart, and I have the knowledge pertaining to the tenth as storehouse giving, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That tenth is storehouse giving, whether it's my tithe, my talent, or my time. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That still becomes a tithe. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's purposed in my heart. So in that, if it's purposed, then that tenth still holds true for me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not negating, or I'm just throwing that in.
Right, right.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and every book of the Bible, a shape, type, or shadow of Christ is found.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So in this, the tithe and the tenth, and what is purposed in your heart, go together.
Right. But I have a question.
Go ahead.
Like I said before, that let's say if it's purposed in my heart to give under 10th, will I not be blessed? Because if we say a tithe is, and that's the first thing we have to understand about tithe. Whenever the word tithe is written, it means a tenth. It's a specific amount. Mm-hmm. So, like, if it's purpose in your heart to give under what a tithe was, are we still blessed? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or are we? So if if that's the case, it's no longer about, because when you say tithe, you have to go use it in its context or its content, and it's always a specific amount. So if we say that is my current day tithe, a tithe is a specific amount, and we can't, we can say, okay, if I'm coming to church, I'm bringing 10% of what my time is. If we're doing that to that physical thing, we're not operating of how Christ will want us to operate. And furthermore, because when we speak of tithes was something always physical. In the New Testament, he doesn't speak of tithes. And the number one thing is that the physical building is not the church. We are the church.
We understand that. We have the knowledge of that. You missed out the first part I said. We have the knowledge of understanding.
Right.
What the storehouse tithe was. You understand what I'm saying? We have that understanding. That it was, as you said, food, grain, barter, trade, however. That which had substance.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I'm just throwing this in.
Yeah,
there
go
to
ahead,
give
go
you
ahead.
Something to think about, to ponder upon in that particular scripture and reading that. Okay, and just go back and.
Are you talking about Malachi?
Yeah.
Or you talk?
Yeah.
But the thing is, if tithes was always something physical or something that you can eat for the Levite, how can we say that we can do a form of tithes now if the tithes is not something that you can eat? We'd be changing its content or repurposing it.
But isn't that why Christ said that when the veil was rent? Hear what I'm saying? That I do believe it's somewhere in, I have to remember, I believe it's in 2 Corinthians, where it speaks of the letter killeth, which he was talking about the law, that letter killeth. You see what I'm saying? So therefore it was purposed in grace. That's why Christ said, I didn't come to do away with
Exactly.
the law. I came to fulfill it. And in his fulfilling it, he added that grace. He added that love to say, no, this is not dead. It's not done away with. But if it's purposed in your heart, you understand what I'm saying? Just like you guys were just talking about, if I only gave $1, does that mean I'm not going to be blessed if that's what was purposed in my heart to give?
Exactly. So the thing is that if that dollar is not a tenth, that does away with the whole fact that a tithe always meant a tenth. And that's the thing with.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the tenth.
Yeah, because
The
that's what I'm saying. Like if it says something different, like in the New Testament, because it always when it speak, as soon as you say tithe, we can't take it add a different definition, because it always meant a tenth of your inheritance. And when you read about tithe in the Old Testament, it always referred to what? When it was a law for the tithing, the law established.
Right.
If we can say that Christ didn't do away with the law, so if the law of tithing is still established, what is the purpose of him written the veil?